things. By the way, what I'm planning to show today is the Neuranet product, and specifically the enterprise capabilities. Some of this is useful for your super search, right? But Neuranet is not just a search product. It's your custom AI basically that is inside your business, running on your business data, documents, whatever. And there are two sides to it. One is what we call assistant, and the other one is called agent. The assistant is essentially AI that's working on your data to give you advice based on the business, internal data, etc. The agent is what we call digital workforce. That means, for example, you have something that you ask a person to do, for example, come up with this report, send me an email every day, right?
Yeah.
So you can do that with an agent. So I will not be showing you the agent today. Today I will show you the assistant. Next time I will show you the agent. Agent is something only Tekmonks is doing with AI. Nobody's doing agents right now. Most people are still stuck on chat and chatbot and things like that. So the assistant that I will show you today, there's few things in there. Number one is you will find it is grounded in the business data. So it's not ChatGPT, where you ask it something and it will give you a nonsense answer. If it doesn't know, it will tell you, I don't know. And if it knows, then it will give you based on business data, and it will give you the links of where it got that information from and why is it giving that advice. And then I will show you some internals of it. And then I will also show you how agents, what our vision is with agents. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm sharing my screen. Let me just get my one-time factor so I can log in. And by the way, this is online. So if you want a trial, I am happy to give you a trial also. For Rakuten, you can create an account online.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go here. So this is the enterprise view. The other ones you're seeing, we are doing the POC with you, right? The COBOL and the code generator, right?
Yeah.
So this one, even though you looks like, okay, this is a question and answer and assistant kind of thing, this is a business AI. So this is not ChatGPT, etc. So for example, if I say, what is Tekmonks? Let's not even say Tekmonks. So let's say, let's pick a product I have not trained it on. Okay. So let's say it knows about Teleworker. It knows about Neuranet, but we have other products. So for example, Monkshoe. What is Monkshoe? If I say something like this, right? So it says, sorry, I have no knowledge of this topic, right? And that's because it doesn't know what that is. So similarly, I can say, what is Rakuten's? So let's look at a report. This one just came out. Okay, this is April 2023. This is from your website, Rakuten. Okay, so Rakuten is disposing of the bank shares that it's going to sell at a certain price, etc. Okay, what is Rakuten's plan to dispose? Right, shares. Right, and I can put something like this. Right, and it will think for a bit. It says there's no information. I don't know anything. Okay, so this is one thing you will notice. This is not GPT. It's not going to make up bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Now let me teach it. So this is called AI training. Now, what I will do is I will train the AI right in front of your eyes. So I will say upload, and I have downloaded the same report. Okay, the one I just showed you, I downloaded this report. Okay, so I'll just say open. So now I'm putting this inside the training. Okay, then if I click here, you see it says reading, right? So now what's happening is on the backend side, the AI has actually got this document in its repository, and it's actually reading the document, okay, to understand what is in the document and all those things. So it's actually training itself on this document. So it takes 4 or 5 minutes, like a couple of minutes. This is a small document, so it's not going to take long. So if I go here, it says done, right? So Rakuten stock.txt is done, which means it already read it and should have some information now on this. So what I'll do, I will go here and I'll ask the same question again. So I'll say, sorry, not this one. I say, what is Rakuten's plan to dispose stocks? And then I say this, again, it's thinking. And now I have given it some information. So now I have an answer. It says Rakuten plan to dispose stocks. The proceeds from the disposal are estimated to be this much million. Now, one thing you will notice, all these numbers are 100% accurate. If I go to your report, somewhere in here, this is where the number is coming from. See? So this number will match these numbers. So it's not making up stuff anymore. And it actually trained on your data. And now I can ask it other things also, right? Like I asked it this, and then I can say, what is the ownership ratio, right? What is the ownership ratio? ratio of this, right? I can say, and hopefully it can answer that also, because it's not so ownership ratio is not explicitly mentioned in the provided document. So you'll see it is not actually telling you what the ratio is in this document, right? But I can ask other questions like the total number of shares of the company proceeds after underwriting discounts, etc. Offering of JPY, so underwriting discount. So I can say, what is the underwriting discount? Underwriting discount, and maybe we get some answer here. See, it guesses JPY 1330 per share, which is coming exactly from here, right? So you see, it's very accurate. Also, you see, it keeps context. I said, what is the underwriting discount? I did not say Neuranet, Rakuten, or Teleworker. Okay, so this is an ongoing thing. It's not only giving me information, but it's also keeping the. When I say what is the underwriting discount, it already knew it's talking to me about Rakuten, plan to dispose of. So it understands the context from that. And what's happening in the back is a lot of custom. So part of this is obviously the AGI pipelines, but there's a lot of custom stuff happening in the back, including searches, retrieval of information, training the neural net in context, and things like that. Because you saw, I was able to train it very quickly. The other thing is, this is designed to be a real-time AI, which means just like in front of your eyes, it took me about, I think, 30 seconds to learn this document, right? This AI can be real time. Like as your data is streaming in, your market is changing, market conditions are changing, I will be able to give you answers from the AI. And real time AI is something that's almost impossible because training a neural net takes, if you go to ChatGPT, their database is September 2021. They've not been able to retrain it. Even in 1 year, they cannot retrain it. And the reason for that is the training that we are using in this case is very different. So there is a neural network, but the neural network, as it was not giving me answers, right? Like when it says, what is the ownership ratio? It doesn't give me the answer. So this neural network is initially trained with very base level of knowledge, but it is trained to quickly learn. So this is called delta learning. So this is the new paper that is out where you can take an LLM and you can teach it new things as a delta pattern, right? So that's what we are doing. That's why it can learn very quickly. And also behind the scenes, it is actually being, so we also invented something called AI search. So this is, you're doing some vector search today, but we did something a little bit different. It's called AI search, which takes a bunch of other search things. So for example, if I go here, this is my database, right? And then I can ask it questions, right? So this AI search, sorry, I'm in the wrong folder. Let me just show you. This is not testing, so it's command line. I can try and ask the questions. So this is actually part of the training of the neural network. A lot of this is actually coming from, so you see all these numbers and stuff and all this content. This is what we can, in our search, when I'm asking questions, we can go in and we can find the right document, right? And then from the right document, we can extract the right answers. Now, this is not just vector search. Vector search actually fails. So if I went in here and I did a vector search, you will not get the answer, because the problem with vector search is it's only got a context window of about 700-800 words in AI, right? So if you remember this big document, if I shred it into 700 words and then I start doing a search on it, I will find lots of wrong documents. So in our AI search, if you look at the output, there's a lot of things. The first thing is a TD-IDF search. So TD-IDF is a different search algorithm. It stands for term frequency inverse document. This one says, I found the right document, okay? And then it does some scoring on the back, okay? Then it will feed that document into the vector search. So that will refine the neural network to say, only look at this. Don't look at your big vector database, because vector databases themselves will not scale. So that's why we came up with this AI search. So this is more like what Google does with their search. Google's page rank algorithm, that is a version of TD-IDF search. So TD-IDF is page rank plus some AI capabilities. On top of that, then you have vector search. On top of that, then we have delta learning. Then on top of that, we have a neural network that is very refined it's a very small data in it so that it doesn't give bullshit answers. And then you combine it all together. And that's what we're doing. And this is the answer. This is the first product out there that is a true AI for business, that right in front of your eyes, I can train it. And this is what I can do, by the way, when you were asking me, how can we make our search smart? My plan was, we take something like this, you can have a chat window, and on the right side, I give you the documents over here. Obviously, I don't give you this training document. This training is just to show you the demo. Here, I will think, and over here, you can, so when I give you a document, then you can start asking me all kinds of questions, right? What is the underwriting discount? I can analyze this entire document in different ways. So this is what I'm thinking will add value to your clients that they cannot get any other way. Because not only you get the document, you don't have to, you can tell it to summarize the document. And then you can keep asking the questions that any fund manager would have, right? Because they have some ratios they go after. What is this ratio? What is that ratio? And you can just ask it and you can make a decision to buy.
Okay. This, you are doing it only for the text information.
No, everything. I can upload PDF, whatever. I just uploaded text right now, but it will upload it. We support 1,000 different document types. PPT, PDF.
And language is not a
HTML.
concern.
Not a concern. Every language.
Okay, let's try. Let me give you another one. Okay, share you.
Just don't give me Japanese because I cannot type Japanese. But if you give me something else, I can try right now.
Okay.
Or if you want, I have a PPT also somewhere. If you want, this is group introduction is your PDF. This is Rakuten's also. So over here, I have this one. This is from the website also, Rakuten Group Introduction. So if you want, I think this is the latest one because the next one will come out, I think this month. So I can say this one and I say open.
Do we have some graph there?
I don't know. Let me see. I think there was. It's uploading right now. There's this kind of a graph. There is this one.
Oh, okay. That's good enough.
So, okay, I can say Rakuten card. What is the industry average, for example, or what is the CAGR for Rakuten shopping card? Assuming that it's done reading this document, that is. So it's reading this one right now. So let's see. If everything goes well, we should be able to make this work. But it's still reading because it's a big document.
So how the model what you have for this, for the ML model which is training this data or understanding this data, what model you have?
You mean on the back end?
Yeah.
What's going to happen right now is it's going to convert everything to text. Okay. No matter what it is, it will get converted. So we have OCR built into it. So what is going to happen is everything in this graph, and that's why I don't know exactly what it will give me the answer. We can try and ask it, right? Because this will get converted to text because LLM will only work with text, nothing else. Yeah. Everything in LLM has to be text, no matter what I do. The idea is that in the pipeline in front of it, you can feed something else. And what we do is, we have a text extractor plugin. So it's done reading this document, the group one. So there's two things. I can actually test, like I can do an AI search, right? If everything is good, I should be able to just ask questions. Now this one is using a small neural network. This is not using the LLM. So for example, I can say synergies between Rakuten Ichiba and Rakuten card, right? So I can try and see if I can find something here. So I say, what are the synergies, right, between Rakuten Ichiba and Rakuten card, right?
Yeah.
So now, if assuming everything is in the database and it's correct and stuff, I should get information with the right document, etc., right? And see what the documents are, right? So you see, when I did my scoring, I found the group introduction document as the first one, right? The coordinate score and this score, it says the scale score is 1. Scale score 1 means this is the most relevant document, okay? And then we found Rakuten stock because it also contains the word Rakuten and probably contains some of these terms also, right? And then so you see the 70% match for this document, for the question I asked, right? And then it went back and it says, so these two documents are the only documents you should look at. So you see, first thing it did is figured out from the pipeline, I should disregard all those Tekmonks documents because remember my AI right now contains some Tekmonks. So this question has nothing to do with Tekmonks. None of this metadata gives any Tekmonks. So one is the group introduction PDF that I just uploaded, and then the second one is the stock, right? And then it says, don't look at any other answers to the AI, okay? Then it will say in the metadata for response, I give it some cutoffs, and it says, we will refine this more. And then you see in the metadata for response, it only picked up the group introduction, okay? It dropped the second document because then it went in and says, I looked at both these documents for this question. this is the most relevant document. Then it says, I already extracted this text. The answer to the question is going to be in this text, okay? And then it will actually feed this to the AI, and it will say, give an answer based on this text. So I can start asking exact same question here, and I can say, what are the synergies between this and Rakuten card, right? Now I know when I ask this question, everything that I'm going to get is potentially going to be correct because of the way that I have done this, because of the architecture of the application. There are multiple pipelines, right? So now when I ask the question, I know my AI is not going to go wild because I have grounded the AI in which document I want to look at. And in that document, what things to look at. So it says, okay, the documents do not explicitly mention specific synergies. So that's because there is no specific synergy in there. But I can also say, like, we can try to get some exact information. So say Rakuten card GTV, right? JPY 14.5 trillion. So again, I can try here. So what is the Rakuten card GTV, right?
It looks like the text is very close to reality, right?
Yeah. But the point is the whole architecture. This is actually what people are trying to come around is how can AI be in a business, right? The way to do that is this architecture. You have to take data, you have to ground it, and then you have to feed. So you see, there's multiple AIs here. The one is the first one, TDIDF AI. So this is, if I show you, this is the first AI, which finds me the right documents to look at, okay? And this is actually looking at documents and then giving me scores, right? And then this AI goes to a second AI, which is a semantic AI. That will then say, okay, which documents I have, you gave me 2 documents of that document, which one I want to look at. So then you see for the GTV, it's only looking at the group 1 because that's really the only one that has, right? And then it will extract. So this is from your PDF, okay? This is extracted. Now you see some text here is garbled, right? Because PDF to text, some pictures are turning into this question mark. And that's okay, because before we feed this into the LLM, we will fix all this, okay? Then the pipeline after that is the LLM. So then I can try ask the same question here. And I know for sure that either it will give me the answer or it will tell me I don't have an exact answer. But it will not give me a wrong answer. It will not give me an inaccurate answer. This LLM right now is trained to say no more often than give wrong answer. And that's on purpose because we don't want a wrong answer. If you're not 100% sure, just don't give me the answer is better. What is the right? So it just told me what is the full thing, right? Didn't give me the value, but I can keep on refining the questions, right? That's what it is. And we can keep asking a bunch of, this is a big PDF, so I can keep asking all kinds of questions. And some of those I'll get answers, some I will get different answers kind of stuff. But that's what it is. And this one we can keep training, like I can refine the training. There's a lot of metrics here that we can tweak to give you different kind of answers. And also, as you can see, is real time. Even this big PDF, I was able to train the network immediately, right? It read it immediately on the fly. We also have role-based. So remember, I am training this with my documents here. I actually have role-based controls because remember, I am feeding AI what I want it to look at, right? So we actually have role-based control. There is no way in the AI world to do role-based control. Because if you train an AI on certain data, it will give an answer based on that data to everybody because that's what it has. But in this, we have split brain. If I log in with some other ID, this AI does not have these documents in that training. So what this means is inside Rakuten also, I can have role-based training. I can even have your private AI. So for example, this is my private AI. It has Tekmonks and Rakuten documents. Somebody else in my company might put a different set of documents and their training and answers will be different. So in enterprise, cybersecurity of AI, nobody's even thinking about it, but we are ready with that today. This AI will support multiple training data sets. And I also have capability in this to say, for example, a common data set, which every Rakuten employee can have, right? And then private data sets. So CEO can have their own data set. People in finance can have their own data set. People in HR can have their own data set on top of the common data set. And then on top of that, we can have yet more, even by user ID, right? So by department, role, user ID, sub company, everything we can have.
But
So we have,
I heard these guys, the company Glean, they have
yeah,
also done this control.
they do, but they're a search engine company. They don't even do AI. So I know about Glean. I know Google brings them up and they say this will go with this, but Glean is a search engine company. and they've been in business for a while. Like they didn't come out yet today. And what they do is essentially search. But as you see, search is a very small part of this, right? This is the
Yeah.
first pipeline. So what Glean
Yeah.
does is this. They will do TD-IDF. And then they will say, okay, this is it. And then the AI should be, the AI, they don't train AI because they don't control AI. The LLM is Google AI that they use. I know that. They will say, okay, based on this, we can give some answers by feeding this information. But what's happening here is search is one part of it. Semantic search is another part of it. The third part of it is to have an AI engine that is got custom delta trainings available and has a small footprint. And then the fourth part of that is to be able to give answers like this. The fifth part, which Glean definitely does not do, and I have not shown you also, is agents. I can do so in 1 week. I will be able to do this to say, hey, send me an email every 9 a.m. working day with the latest Rakuten stock news stories. Okay, I would be able to do that. And it will actually create a little enterprise application for me on the backend that will do this analysis and send me an information 9 a.m. every working day. So this is called digital workforce. Right now, obviously, it won't work because it will say, I don't know how to send an email, but yeah, error in processing. So it just ended my conversation, says I cannot do this, right? But we have this agent coming up where, and then when it deploys the agent, you will see on the right side here, there will be an agent. Those will be little enterprise applications that you create on the fly. The idea of that is all the things that your analytics guys do, that your CEO needs a report every week, right? And then they go start creating dashboards and reports. Now you can just ask the AI to do it. So I think approximately 60 to 70% of internal applications, you can just create simple agents in AI. I'm not saying 100% because complicated stuff, we still need to write code.
Yeah.
But things like analyze these documents or go. And also the other thing is, this is just documents. We actually have ability to integrate with not just your internal databases or applications, but external also. So we have the ability to go, you can tell it, go scrape the internet and find me competitive information on Rakuten's competitors. And it will go scrape the entire internet for you and give you that information. What we are doing with this, and all this information stuff is already ready, is giving you the first level enterprise AI that is 100% working with all your data, documents, all the controls, and does all of this stuff. Now I'm asking a question, it's giving me an answer. Agent is quite easy for me because I already can give you the answer. Your agent is usually, hey, convert this answer into a graph or email it to me. That's what 80 to 90% of your internal applications, that's what they do. Either they show you a graph or they give you a report, right? Or you will have somebody working in your company. You will say, okay, your job is to do this part every day. So that agent stuff, we are 1 week away from. I can show you next week. We will have the agents running also, and that will be like a game changer for enterprises. Not only can we do all this for you, but we can reduce your development cost and your efficiency can increase because on the fly you can create little enterprise applications. And that agent, for example, is just for you, like Shiva's agent. Your boss can create his own agent, and or you can create enterprise-wide agents or enterprise-wide chatbots or whatever. You can just say, create me a chatbot with this data, and it will give you an API URL. Then that you can integrate that with your application. So all of this is now everything I showed you is obviously NDA because nobody is doing it at this level,
Yeah.
but all of this is there. And it's all integrated like the Neuranet vector database. We have multiple AI databases. So if I show you, like I've been showing you all this stuff, but I can actually get into the databases also. So if you see how I'm able to split everything inside Neuranet, the database, this is AI database, right? It is split by, now I'm creating my own. So this is my email ID. So my data itself is split. So every time I'm feeding it a document, then there is a vector database. There's a TD-IDF database. So TD-IDF is what Google uses. Like Google search uses TD-IDF. This is the strongest way to find data. So this is a TD-IDF where it's building vocabulary on the fly. So if I actually look at it, because these are text files just for development purposes, but we ingested your documents and we converted them into a vocabulary. So Takashi, you can see Mitachi, This is obviously coming from your Japanese documents, right? And then it takes that vocabulary and it converts it into AI. So if I show you this, now it's converted this into numbers. You see all the numbers. So if I say, yeah, and this is a cross index. So this 335 means it's a cross index into this vocabulary. And then it has a AI weightage of each of these. Then
So
it's able to use these.
how to see represent, because now we know for the regular database we know how
Yeah.
to interpret the data, but in this vector, is
So
there a
this is
way
not a
to
vector. This is a TD-IDF. So you see, this is TF-IDF is different. Vector is different. Let me show you the vector also. So this is TF-IDF. This is way more. The first level has to be TF-IDF. Vector has a problem. Let me show you the problem of vector. So this is the vector database. Okay. So you see this numbers, these are the vectors. This is a vector. These are just numbers. Okay. Now, if I want to know what is this vector pointing to, right? So this vector came from the PDF file, the group file that you have. Okay. And then this vector got split into a doc ID like this. Okay. And then if I go to the vector database, I can start looking into, okay, what is this doc? So these are IDs. Okay. Now, the problem with vector database, why it cannot be effective is this. See, if I take a vector database, let me try to find your file. Okay, so let me change the date because I imported your data today, right now. So this is now. So let's say this one. Okay, so this is from your PDF document. You see, this information is very little. I cannot search. What happens is, if let's say you wrote a long essay on a piece of paper, okay? Then you tore that essay up into small pieces. You just tore your piece of paper. This is what, because vector will shred your document into AI LLM size pieces, which is approximately 700 tokens or 1,500 tokens, okay? So this is what happens. Now, if I say I'm searching for a certain thing, it's going to search inside the vectors. It will say, okay, these vectors are the ones that match correctly what you're looking for. But the point is, my whole document, you shredded it. You lost the context, right? That's why we have to use a two-phase pipeline. First, we have to go TD-IDF. TD-IDF will not do that. See, what TD-IDF is doing is, for every document, it's working at the document level. It's not shredding the document. And then it's coming up with a bunch of, these are also vectors. You can call it TD-IDF vectors, but they are not like an AI vector database, LLM vector. This is not an LLM vector. So what this will do is it allows me to read the entire document. And when you ask a question, I know which document has the answer. So you see, this is level one. When I asked a question, it did a TD-IDF for me. It says, this is the document that has the answer. This is the top document you need to look at. Then it will say, okay, I found another document that has some of the terms, but the score is much less. So the scaled score of this one is 65%. Okay. The scaled score of this one is 100%, is 1, right? What this is saying is TD-IDF will say, okay, you asked me a question about Rakuten, something that's in this document. Yes, 65% is in this, but actually this is the real document. Then we will take that and say, okay, this is the real document. Now inside the real document, I'll do a vector search. Then the vector search will see, it finds the GTV parts of that document, right? But if I told it, go search my entire database, right? If I was talking about GTV of Tekmonks, for example, vector database will say, semantically, you're talking about GTV. And I will match you to all the GTVs. Now, what happens is when you do matching like that, the LLM becomes the final arbitrator. LLM says, okay, you gave me a bunch of vectors, but you asked me a question about Rakuten, not of Tekmonks, but you did give me a vector of Tekmonks also. But when that happens, that's when your LLM will give you hallucination, because it gets a bunch of information. Some of that information is garbage, some of that is correct, right? And then the LLM will give you an answer, which I cannot guarantee you anymore this answer is correct, because it's looking at vectors. You cannot ground an LLM with vectors. You have to, what you have to do is, and if you research into a lot of AI literature, you will see the less randomness you give to the AI, the better your answer will be. And what we are doing is we've completely focused the LLM. So the way we do is by doing multi-stage pipeline, and this is only two-stage search right now. We're adding more algorithms. Vector is one of them. TD-IDF is another one. There's another one called BAF, like BAF 55 or something that we are looking into. So what we're doing is you first give the information, then you do a whole lot of, and all of these are AI. TD-IDF is also AI. So you take it through a smaller bunch of ML algorithms, right? To essentially focus the answer. And these algorithms like TDIDF or even vector search, they are not LLM algorithms. They are AI algorithms, but not LLM, which means there is no randomness in them. Then when you figure it out, then you take that and then you take a LLM that you have trained, which can take information on the fly, retrain on that information and give you an answer on the fly. So what happens is the entire LLM has converted things into the vectors. We have, when we are ingesting a document, all the pre-processing has been done inside the neural network so that it can very quickly, when I give it this information, right?
Yep.
It can very quickly look at those vectors then, because the neural network already has that information, but I'm saying only look at this part of your neural network. So what happens is the neural network then gets completely focused, not to the big network, but only to a particular part of the neural network that has that answer. Then it gives you the right answer. And so what happens is that you get either the right answer or you get the LLM telling you, I don't have the answer because the information is not sufficient to produce the answer. What you don't get is a bullshitting LLM,
Yep.
which is what OpenAI is. OpenAI will never say you, I don't have an answer. You want to see an example? I'll show you right now. So let me show you an example of what OpenAI will do. Okay. So let me go to ChatGPT. Okay. And I will give you the most crazy thing that it will do. Okay. So let me say, what is the SHA 256 of Shiva-san? Okay. Okay. You will say, I cannot generate this because Shiva-san is not specific string or input. So then I'll just give a different kind of a question. So I'll say this one. Okay. So I'll say new chat. Just phrase the question differently. Give me SHA 256 of, this is Shiva-san's text. And okay, this one it's not doing today because I think they fixed it. But sometimes, depending on your question, it will just give me an SHA 256. See, but this is wrong. If I do the SHA 256, this will not be the SHA 256. So this is, it will just, depending on your question, how you ask the question, randomly will give you answers. Some of them will be correct, some of them will be wrong, etc., etc.
Sure. Because
But this will not,
still they
yeah,
claim
because
60-70%,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so it will still try to make up answer no matter what the question is, right? But that is what you cannot do with AI. And then what that does is it completely changes your AI. You cannot use a generic LLM AI. You cannot use OpenAI. You cannot use Google AI. And you cannot use a single step. Like it's not, this is not a single shot. There's a whole pipeline here. Ingesting information, building a neural net, training a neural net, searching for that information, finding the right document, finding the right parts of that document, converting those parts. So the next thing is it will convert these parts into vectors, right? Then those vectors is what you tell the LLM. Say, I fed you this document before. You already have these vectors. Look at these vectors only and give me the answer. But this is the entire architecture, obviously. But the power is immense because right in front of your eyes, this is all technical. You don't have to know this, but right in front of your eyes, I can train it. I can get answers. I can write agents, and I can give you my word that the answer you're getting from AI is accurate, or you're getting no answer. It was telling you, I don't know the answer, which is exactly what you want in business, right? Either give me an error or give me an answer.
Sure.
Don't give me bullshit, because you cannot have a customer asking you something about a fund and AI just making it up. Next thing, you get sued, right? Because he will say, you told me this thing and I bought the fund based on this and now I have a loss you have to pay. And I know Rakuten Security has had to pay many times people when they, based on wrong information, bought a stock or a fund, right?
Yes, yes.
So we cannot do that at all. And so this is the whole thing. Now, some of this, Daman and stuff have access to I think the vector database they have access to, but the whole thing they don't. But the POC that we are starting with you will be the complete Neuranet, right? This is why, remember I showed you the code generation, right?
Yes.
This was the generate code.
Yeah,
This is what I was,
that's the one we want quickly.
yeah.
COBOL.
Then COBOL is here, this is generate code, but this is part of the same Neuranet.
So the COBOL files which we gave, were you able to convert all of them?
I know, I just converted the ones I showed you, Shiva. I haven't, I keep a folder here with the ones I converted. But I didn't, once I proved it can be done, I really didn't go into, okay, let me convert everything. But I have a test folder here. Let me show you. This is Rakuten Kobo. So I converted some of them, right? This is the chain, and then in this. So I converted this one. There is two of these I have converted. One of this I sent you already, and then there is another one I converted just to be sure. But this is another Java one that I converted
Yeah.
for you guys. But obviously, my point is we are doing the same pipeline in code conversion also, because when we're doing code conversion, I'm able to retrain it, right? So even if and that's why we're doing the POC, right? Let's say initially we are getting 50% accuracy, we can retrain the network because we have control over the whole thing
Yeah.
and focus it. And also we have AGI chains. So you see the document that I'm feeding it. This is not a small document, right? If I take this document, let me show you. So let's say I copy this document, okay? And then I go to OpenAI Playground. So this OpenAI Playground is not ChatGPT. This is their API, okay? And I'm using data from your website, so I'm not feeding it anything that is not has confidentiality controls. So I can
Yeah.
say analyze this document and summarize it, okay? And then I paste this whole document, okay? And then I say submit. So let me show you. I say submit here. So then it's giving me some summary of this and the shares held and whatever. Now, if I go here and let me just delete this. Go here. And I say submit like a few times. It says maximum length exceeded.
Mm.
OpenAI cannot answer something that's more than a certain number of tokens. So once it gets bigger, it cannot analyze it. We don't have this issue here. You can give me, I have tried our AI with 1 GB document. I literally took 1 GB text document, told it to ingest it, and it can ingest it. Not a problem. Because it's not single shot. This is the problem with single shot. Single shot, you have no control. What
Yeah.
answer you're going to get, what it's going to think. All the AI, Google AI, this is all single shot AI. With Neuranet, is number one is not one AI. We have 4 or 5 different AIs, like
But
information retrieval.
why do you think they've not done it?
Why they have not done it? Because they are an AI company, right? They're not enterprise. Then their use case is different. They're giving you the AI engine. They say we have an AI engine, right?
Yeah.
It's like I give you Westway, I give you my application server, like application server, or I give you a database. I say, Shiva, this is Oracle database. You give it data, I will give you a SQL query. But you and I both know one SQL query is not what I want. I will have to write 10 SQL queries to get one piece of information correctly, right?
Yep.
Which means you give me an AI engine, single shot is never going to work.
Yep.
I need your AI engine in different parts. When I'm ingesting data, I need different kind of AI. When I am looking for data, I'm looking for a different kind of AI. When I get my data, I use AI to train the other AI. So how do we get the answer? So we are using LLM, which is OpenAI, only for language generation. The entire pipeline that I just showed you, ingesting the document, finding the relevant data, generating parts of that document. Because remember, this is also generation. I don't know if you noticed this, but the AI, when I say I ask it a query, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's doing vector search, it's actually generating content. You see, this is
Right.
generated content. So this is another AI. This one is generating content as one part, but this is not the final answer. This is intermediate answer. But this is focusing the AI, the final LLM. So LLM is a very small last part of this is when I have all the information, everything, then I go to the LLM and say, here is the answer, by the way. But it is rough. You are a good LLM that can write good English. Take all this, convert it into the final answer. That's what we're using LLM for, which is a very small use case. If I was talking about enterprise applications, LLM is the interface between human and computer. Because you understand English, so I try to generate for you something in English. But that is only the last step. So what most people are not understanding is LLM is just, remember we have API interface. This is my JSON interface. If one
Yeah.
application, if I want to talk to SAP, I have to give it in IDOC format because SAP understands IDOC. And my Java or enterprise applications, they understand JSON. So what we do, we say the interface to SAP is IDOC because SAP will only understand IDOC. The interface to human brain is English language.
Yep.
And that's what we use the LLM for. I already have the answer in my search and all the other AIs that I just showed you, they produce the answer, but you cannot process that answer because your brain only understands in the English interface.
Yep.
So, the innovation in LLM is that part. For the first time, I have a human interface. And that's exactly where this LLM is. But Neuranet, 90% of the work is not in the LLM. LLM is the last part of that pipeline. I have the answer, now put it in a format that Shiva can understand, which is Japanese or English. That's where the LLM is coming in. LLM is not being used for reasoning. LLM has no reasoning capability, right?
Sure.
They don't have reasoning capability. So that is a different AI. That's inside Neuranet. And we will do the same thing with COBOL. If we find that the code is not right, we will pre-train the models before it to say, no, generate Java from COBOL, but when you're generating Java, only look at these things. Remember I was doing the AGI?
Yeah.
How we are able to generate thousands of lines? Because we're not telling LLM to generate. We are focusing the LLM. No, only generate this function. And by the way, when you're generating this function, this is the context. How do we generate that piece of information to say, this is the function, this is the context? That's a different AI. That's what the AGI was. But the reason I want to give you this demo is to show you, because previously I was talking in big terms, right? We will have knowledge graphs, we will have graph algorithms, we will run LLM on different things, and then finally generate. Because what's happening here is, you see, there is a whole set of algorithms and a dynamic graph and bunch of other AIs that are talking to each other to produce the final answer, right? This is AGI, because I can take a document right off the internet, real time, teach my AI about it, and give you a real-time answer that I can guarantee you is 100% accurate. This is artificial general intelligence, because you also do the same thing. If I told you right now, Shiva, here is a topic, here is a couple of documents, right? You will go back home, you will be slower. Maybe it will take you 2 days, what takes 5 minutes with the AI. But in 2 days, our brain can process that information, right?
Yep.
I will do my research. Then if I asked you a question after 2 days, you will give me an answer that will either say yes, here's the answer, or you will say, Rohit, that particular information was not in the document you sent me.
Yep.
That's AGI. So that's what we are doing with Neuranet. And I think we are starting with your COBOL, but I really think if we take the super search in this direction, we will blow everybody out of the water. Because I will be able to give them, they can do the stock analysis. Like, not only they say, I'm looking for this stock, right? Number one, they will be able to come into super search and say, I am looking for a stock. These are the 5 companies, and this is the features that I'm looking for. And we'll come back and say, these are our recommendations. And here is a full analysis of why I'm recommending you. Then that will be on the right side, right? The link. You can click this link and read. On the left side will be a chat. And they will say, okay, based on this recommendation, I want these ratios because I want to cross-verify your recommendation, right?
Yep.
And then you can chat with us. We will give you answers. We'll say, okay, these are the ratios. And then you can say, wait a second, I really like this ratio, assets under management or whatever, right? And let's say the market correlation risk is 1 and the assets under management is this much. You gave me this recommendation, but go back, do the search again. Are there any other funds that match this? So you'd be able to do that whole analysis. And why you will be able to beat companies like SBI Securities is because for the brokerage, their cost of hiring an analyst will disappear. Because you'll be able to say, if you come to Rakuten Super Search, not only you can search, but you can do what your analyst would have done. You can ask questions and we will give you like a virtual analyst. And you know how much analysts get paid.
Okay, got it. So now how can we take our super search in this direction?
I was talking to Daman and I was saying, okay, continue right now because we should deliver what we promised. But for the next iteration, take a break. Come back to Neuranet, set up a demo set up a design first. Because frankly, Shiva, whatever you want to do at this point, I can do. You need to tell me what should it look like. I think it should, based on everything I'm seeing out there, it should look like a little chat window and a result window. You come into the chat window. So where we have the query, the query is one line.
Yep.
With AI, you make it a bigger box to say, type in Japanese, whatever you want, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then we will feed it all your 30,000 documents or whatever we have. Obviously, we will not be using we cannot work with vector database because there's a full search engine and a full bunch of databases here. But that's okay. That will only take 1 day. We can take all those 30,000 documents, feed it here. And then moment we feed it, First thing is working out of the box is super search, because your current super search I can do immediately. TDIDF is all I need. I don't even need vector for it, right? TDIDF will give you a absolute Google quality search on your documents. Okay, so that part we go live right away. Then we go live 1 week after that, because Neuranet is done, it's complete, right? 1 or 2 weeks after that, we can start an internal POC to say, wait a second, now we have this chat-based search that even Google has not studied. No, Bing is doing some chat-based search, but not exactly. And we say, why don't we start trying this out? See if it gives you any bullshit answers, right? If not, then we go live. If it is, then we just go back and tweak our algorithms, right? So that we eliminate as many wrong answers as possible, right? And then we do language analysis and all that. It is multilingual right now. We can do all that testing. So that's what we can do. I would suggest you go live with your super search, because that is anyway, that super search is just a non-AI search anyway, right? Because we are replacing search with search, right? But then let's do another POC to say, why don't we do super AI search? Or just change the name to make it look, because you want people inside Rakuten also do not think that this is for free. You want to take credit for it, right? So maybe you say, okay, but not asking for another POC or invoice or whatever, because Daman can continue. My next POC will show you AI super search. And by the way, I can deliver that in 4 weeks, because in Neuranet is already ready, right? Once we sign the COBOL thing, you will have access to all of this.
Okay, got it.
And then I think people will be impressed, because I think you saw me do things in front of you. And if they are impressed, then I hope that we can do more business. Like, and we can come up with other use cases. Like, why do you give analysts for free? Let's say if I do for you what I'm promising you, that we can give you a full analyst for only Rakuten portfolio, obviously, right? Then why would you not sell that as a new feature to your clients and make some money? Why would you just give it for free? Maybe you give it for free. Maybe, but that's a business decision. Do you give this for free? Or maybe you say, okay, you can ask me 2 analyst style questions a day, more than 2, you subscribe to virtual analyst.
Yeah. So because as they can say that, hey, it is reality, then we have that. Yeah, sure.
Yep. So then there's lots of use cases. You can do internal analysis, we can do external analysis, and nobody can come up and beat us, because even Zuo, for example, they said they're doing generative AI. 99% of people don't even know what AI is right now. They are all going based on the analyst reports are wrong, because analysts themselves don't know what this is. This thing is only 3 months old, right?
Yep.
And nobody has actually implemented enterprise AI. Everybody is doing generative AI. Generative AI is, I gave you access to ChatGPT, right? And I told you, hey, answer is right or wrong, but it will give you some answer. And that's what people are doing right now, using it to write emails and documents, and that's fine. But that's not really enterprise AI. Enterprise AI is when it does real business things for you, and it has business value to you beyond just, hey, here is rephrase this email or write this document in a nice way. Yes, you can do that, but that's a toy, right? That's a chatbot toy. Real AI is when you can do full analysis. You can build something like an analyst out of it, or you can build a digital workforce. For example, I can say every morning 9 a.m., analyze the entire Rakuten portfolio based on database. Not just, remember, this thing is also integrated with your real-time database. I can literally set up an alert to say, if some stock or some of Rakuten fund has dipped by 5%, send me an email of all of them and the reason why it's dipped and your analysis of what is going on in the market. The virtual agent can be designed like that. It will go, fetch the data, calculate which stocks are matching this criteria, then try to find why did it dip.
Okay.
And you will do it 9 a.m. and that's digital workforce. So that's the future of AI. But also you think about this. This Neuranet has a lot of power. How you want to use it politically is also up to you, because you don't want to give it for free. Like if you unleash all this, people will not appreciate it.
True.
Because right now, with all the information I gave you, you're probably one of the 0.0001% people in the world that actually understand what enterprise AI is and how complicated it is. And it's actually not one AI, but it's a whole network of AIs, and what is AGI and what's a graph and how we ingest documents, how real time we can. Nobody knows all this. How you use it, I think you should also use it. This is as a personal friend for your career achievement also, right? If you give it for free, I have noticed people don't appreciate.
True. A lot of time. It's true.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we can go step by step. We can do a little, and then maybe you can sell a bigger vision, knowing that we can already implement it, and then quickly deliver it. Then that might be a good thing.
Yep, agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, got it.
All
So
right, Shiva.
let's take step
Yeah,
by step.
sure. By the
Okay.
way, I was
Yeah.
talking to Daman. I think he's doing that super search for you. And I think they're looking at stuff. I think vector databases, you told them Milvus, it's not open source. I think they haven't informed you or informed you. I don't know.
Yeah, you did tell me yesterday.
Yeah, so there's a big cost to it. Don't go down that path because
Yeah.
otherwise, as soon as we do the
No,
POC, we
I
have to
thought
pay
it
money.
was completely free. It is
Nothing,
open source.
nothing is open source. The only open source is what we wrote ourselves. And even if it's like nobody's actually doing these use cases. And what's happening right now, just let me show you, is there is so much hype about AI, right? Like all the venture capitalists are in the AI space.
Yeah.
So if I say Milverse VC funding, you will see Zillus is actually the company. So they are all doing venture rounds. Now, what's happening with the venture rounds is that nothing's going to be free. No venture capitalist invests in a company to give you products for free.
What about this VV8, Chroma, all of those?
Chroma is here. Chroma has a cloud now.
Oh,
So if you go there, this try Chroma. When you see try anyway, you know that it's not free. So even though they say I have a GitHub or whatever, they have this thing. Getting started and collab demo, they have a cloud now. Let me show you. Try Chroma. And then if I say getting started, they will say go to our cloud. So I say Chroma direct DB cloud. And most of them are actually going to cloud, which is a bigger problem for you guys because you're not cloud cert. Like Rakuten does not even certify AWS. So
yes.
yeah, so see, Chroma is 18 million in seed round. All these guys are raising in seed round, and what's happening is none of them is going to be. You are a venture. You know how VCs
Yep.
work, right? Nobody's gonna
Yep.
say take 18
They,
million
they,
from me
they have
and
to
then
make
you
money.
give it away for free. Yeah, they have to
Yeah.
make money right away. VC funded company is even more aggressive, right?
Yep.
So at Tekmonks, we are not VC funded. I don't have a VC on my head asking to take my open source and make it closed source or whatever. But also the other thing is, like I showed you, the whole enterprise architecture has to be unified. You cannot build this with 10 different vendors, right? Like vector database from one guy, TD-IDF from another guy, LLM from another guy. And then, because if you look at some other diagrams, I was laughing at them. They show like 15 open source projects, put it together and try to build. You and I both know, where am I going to find 15 people who even have skills in this? And then how do I put it together? And then how do I host it and all that? So that is the other thing that we solve with Neuranet is like there is no dependency on anything. It's open source and there is nothing out there we depend on. Everything is in here except for if you want to use LLM, then we can use our own open source or we can use OpenAI. But the good thing is even on the LLM, we can use open source LLM. I can have a fully disconnected, like the demos I'm showing you right now, the LLM is running on my laptop. It's not even connected to the internet. So you don't need to depend on anybody. Because remember, the LLM is a very small portion of this. It's only used for language generation. So we can use lightweight LLMs that can run inside your company and your data never leaves Rakuten. Like the whole thing can be inside your cloud.
Yep.